I'm Chef Wendy Brodie with YourTown. I'm the culinary host with Art of Food, and my guest today is a type of person that I work closely with for a lot of cooking classes and corporate events, known as destination management companies. This is Steve Henry from Associated Host, a very beautiful, you called yourself a community destination management company. It's something like that. So fill me in more on what you do.
Well, I sure will. And first, thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure.
It's
Thank
nice
you.
to see you out of the kitchen once in a while. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, we are a destination management company, or DMC, and primarily we work with corporations, corporate groups coming to this area for meetings, incentive trips, whatever. And we assist them with everything from ground transportation to recreation activities to tours to offsite dinners to fabulous cooking classes in a home. We get to provide all those services for these people when they come to visit. So to show off our beautiful peninsula. It's a great job.
Do you do the reverse if somebody had a business here and wanted to go either here or slightly outside our county?
That's a great question. The primary reason somebody would hire a destination management company is because of their knowledge of the local area. If I take a group and go to Phoenix or somewhere else to work, I don't know that area. And so I'm at the same disadvantage as they might be. But the whole reason they would hire me is because of our knowledge of the Monterey Peninsula, Carmel, Monterey, the Valley, Big Sur, our vendor network that we've put together, our guides, our staff. We're all locals here. And so our knowledge of this area is really the advantage of using a company like ourselves.
Well, one of the things that I did one time, I think maybe through the chamber, is getting a tour and event of our own area.
Right.
And here I've been here many, many, many years, spanning, I think, 3 decades now. And I had no idea what's available, so I would really encourage a lot of local businesses to, I mean, some of the ag tours that, and places, I've learned so much. So anyway,
I think we may have actually done that tour.
Probably. Well, tell me a bit how you got started in this field.
It's quite a story. I've been fortunate. I've had 2 lives.
I found
out.
So you found out. I want to share it with others.
I was born and raised in Southern California, and my after going through school, my grandmother worked for GTE, which is now Verizon, and with a little nepotism, I got a job working for the phone company. I started as an operator, doing 411 calls, and then moved to Huntington Beach, and I was the cable splicer. But the really enjoyment that I got, or the best part of that job, was that there were 10 of us, which were employees, who all performed in a musical band, which was sponsored by the company itself. So they sent us out, they picked up the tab, they paid for all the equipment, all the lighting, everything, and we performed for 17 years. A group of 10 of us throughout the Western United States, and it was a great life, and so much fun, and so that was my first life, working for the phone company and playing music. In around 1990 or so, we actually the band came up to Carmel. We rented or bought out a little bed and breakfast in Carmel, and we did a week's worth of rehearsals at the Sunset Center. And I just fell in love with the peninsula.
This was it, huh?
That was it. Something struck me in my soul and said, this is where I want to be. And so I carried on that dream and asked the question I think 90% of our visitors probably ask when they come, which is, how can I live here?
Yes,
Yes. So for about 3 years, we molded over, and it just was perfect timing. The phone company decided to start reducing their workforce. I qualified for an early retirement, and I took a leap of faith and we sold our condominium. We packed up the kids, took our pay, moved to Carmel, rented a house, and then looked at each other and said, now what do I do? No job, no plan, just I was where I wanted to be. And so to make a long story short, I was at the airport one day and I saw a van sitting there that was transporting people. I said, what do you do? And they said, well, we're a destination management company, which I had no idea what that was. And I said, I happen to have a license. I can drive these vans. Are you hiring? They hired me on to work the AT&T tournament this year, and that's how I got into this business. I drove vans for several years. I worked the airport. I did the meet and greets. I did all that stuff. Went in and worked operations, learned how to kind of do the operations end of it, the planning and the execution of the event. I left that company and went to another DMC in the area. Then I went to the sales side when I moved there, so I learned the tools and how to sell. I'd never sold anything in my life. So I learned what it's necessary to sell the program to a client. And then I managed that office for a while, and then 9/11 happened.
Yes,
which
we
was
all remember
tragic
that.
for
Yes.
everyone, especially for hospitality. Travel stopped. People were afraid to fly. And the owner of the company that I was working for laid everybody off and closed his office. He knew what was coming. And the only thing I knew here in this area was doing what I was doing. So I started a little operation out of my bedroom at home. I called it
Good
Steve
for you.
Henry and Associates, and I started calling on some of the clients that I'd worked with, and they were calling me, and I just started slowly building a business there, working out of my home. And then in 2005, I was presented with an opportunity to go into partnership with a gentleman, and we actually bought that office that I'd started working at, which was a nationwide DMC. They were looking to sell off some of their offices, so we bought that office. We called it Associated Hosts, and then 3 years later, I bought my partner out, and here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
But you're performing
Mm-hmm.
and presenting yourself. That's what this job is all about. So you had all the foundation for doing exactly what you're doing.
Which I
mean,
didn't know. I had
Yes.
no clue. Really, it was divine intervention, if you will, because I just kind of fell into this line of work, and it came natural to me. And I just enjoy. I've got the best job in the world. Look at the beautiful area that I get to sell. You know, I could be working in Bakersfield. I hope I don't offend Bakersfield if I say that, but
no, but
this
they
is
all come
such a,
here.
But yeah, this
they
is
do.
such a beautiful area. Such an easy thing to sell to my clients and the people visiting the area. So very fortunate.
You know, the Texans and the Bakersfield, Fresno, all of that, they love our fog.
Yes,
they just
that's very
love
true.
the cooling off during the summer.
That's
So
very
even though
true.
I consider myself a local, even though I was from the Bay Area, you know, we want a little more sun in the summer.
It's pretty funny when we get some groups coming here from Texas or from the South in the summertime, and they think they're coming to Southern California. So they don't bring a jacket, they don't bring a sweater, and they're freezing. We're thinking it's gorgeous, you know, it's
Yes.
65, this is heaven. They're so cold. It's pretty funny.
Layers.
Layers,
Isn't that
dress and layers. Yeah.
layers? Now, from my side of the bench, I'm always fascinated with what kinds of events that you have to put on. What have been some of the exciting, fun things that you either putting musicians together or what are some of the unusual things you've had to create for people?
We, gosh, everyone is unique, which is
Yes,
really
yes.
the interesting thing about this business. There's nothing that's cookie cutter about it. So everything we do is geared towards that client, what their objectives are, what they wanted to achieve, and kind of match their personality. So they're all very unique and different. We had a client for years that we worked with that would come to this area. They come to Pebble Beach, and they would stay there. And one day during their program, they would do a flyaway. And so we would get to arrange helicopters to fly 50, 60 people up to Napa Valley, San Francisco, any place we can reach with helicopters. And and then put together these fabulous wine events in these boutique wineries and have fabulous food and celebrity chefs and then flying back home at the end of the day. I mean, those are so fun to put together.
Now, did you get to go on? Were you
Of course.
needing to go
Absolutely,
on that?
I had to
Oh,
be
my
there.
goodness.
Of course. I had to make sure that helicopter got there safely.
Oh, what a great one. What a
Those
great
are
one.
those are fun.
Do you still do those?
We don't. No, we don't anymore. The budgets change,
Yes.
times change, clients change.
Yes.
No, we did for about 10 years. We worked with that particular client, but it's those kinds of things are so fun to put together, and those are big budget things. And on a smaller scale, we can create these wonderful dinners at private homes and Zenwood, which is one of our favorite places to go, and just create an event that mirrors what that company is trying to achieve, and also show off our beautiful area and the fabulous cuisine that we have here.
I know one of the fun things that I got to do with you is you arranged for a wine blending with parsonage and do that. And oh gosh, that was really great.
Yeah.
And it really opens your eyes up about how wine is made and learning wines from the winemaker's point of view rather than just the tasting.
The fun ones to do are when we do it blind, and we'll give them 4 different wines. They don't know what the wines are. They don't know what varietal they are. And the group, they'll break together in maybe teams of 3 or 4, and they'll start to create a blend that fits to their palate, but there's no preconceived notion that this is a Cab and this is a Merlot, and I don't like Cab. So they just do it purely by taste, and it's fun to see what they come up with.
You also were telling me that you do have some forgettable events, and I thought,
Wendy.
will you put it down? Those, honestly, the chef stories behind the scenes of what can happen, those tend to be really interesting. So without putting anyone, no names, no whatever, but what are the threats that can happen that you will never do?
Whatever can go wrong sometimes will go wrong. And maybe I'm a glutton for punishment, but that's part of this business that I really love. I don't love it when it happens, but I love when a crisis occurs.
Yes.
And we can address it, we can fix it, we can make it better than ever, and the client never knows that anything was ever wrong or that there was ever a problem. That's a rush, when you can do that. And no matter what event you do, something's going to go wrong, or not as planned.
Now, we have to give that a name like extreme management or something.
God, extreme stress.
Stress,
yes.
yes.
But the key is, don't let the guests know that anything at all was wrong. And I think we do a great job of that. But you were talking about embarrassing moments. When I was new in this business, I'd only been working in the operations side maybe a year or so. This was in like 1996. The Olympics were being held in Atlanta. And there was a company that was sponsoring a torch run. And so they were taking the torch all up and down the California coast, and they would ride by rail to one location. A corporate guest would ride by rail from point A to point B and ride with the torch and get their pictures taken. And then they'd get off at point B and be bussed back to the starting location. Another group would get on and continue on down the coast. And my job was, I was assigned to get the buses, hire the buses to bring the group from point B back to point A. I learned about quality of buses on that particular job because I was so new. I didn't know that somebody would sell you a bus that was less than perfect. And the bus that showed up, Wendy, was the oldest, ugliest, smokiest bus. It looked like Greyhound had driven it 50,000 miles and turned it over. It was horrible. And I had to put my clients on that bus, and that's one of the most embarrassing things. But it was a learning experience. I never booked another bus that I didn't know what it looked like.
Oh, yeah, no, that's great. I remember even if you have the beautiful, beautiful bus, anything can go wrong. And one of our food groups got on this gorgeous bus. We all felt so good, and it died right on the freeway.
That
And
happens.
boy, that company just brought out another one. They made us feel so comfortable. We were all having our own little mini unexpected party. I think there was wine and champagne already on the bus. So, but really, I appreciate how that.
And you know, not all companies are like that. And that's the when groups come to the area and they try and plan things on their own, plan a program on their own. Look at the internet. They don't know these companies, and so they may just pick A, B, C. That's the advantage, again, of using someone like us, because we know the best vendors. We know the best people. We know who's the most reliable, and we know the companies that if something goes wrong like that, we can get it fixed immediately and get right back on the road. So,
are there any kinds of vendors for things that people, I mean, that you arrange? I think one time, I don't know whether it was your company, but there are people that do like perfume blending and tasting, not tasting, but perfume creating.
Right.
So besides cooking classes that you often arrange with me, or picnics, or who knows what, are there fun things that you can suggest that we don't really know about our area?
In our local area, well, the ag business is most people don't know a lot about how the produce is grown, how it goes to market, how it gets packaged, and there are tours that we can do, or that we do, that take someone through that step, and it's really fascinating. That whole ag culture is
so impressed.
And the same thing with the wines, taking from planting the vines to when they become mature to when they can harvest. Why harvest early? Why harvest late? You know, the sugar content, all that stuff in our industry is so fascinating to me. Going mushroom hunting down in Big Sur, you know.
That's a great one.
That's a great one that most of us don't know which mushrooms we can eat and which ones we can't, but if you go with someone who's an expert, it's fascinating.
It is.
It's really fascinating.
Is. Yes. In 30 seconds, what can you tell us about changes in the industry? Any quickies?
It's always changing. It's always evolving. When the internet came into and became a popular part of our culture, that changed our business tremendously. The hardest things that or the biggest challenges we face now are political. With trying to get some of the wineries, for example, out in Carmel Valley, there's groups that are opposing some of the growth, and you know, some of the political things that we have to deal with are big challenges, but we'll do it. We always have.
Well, I'm so glad that you took the risk and
Me
you
too.
followed your dreams,
Me
and
too.
that is a lesson for all of us. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
Wendy.
joining us.
It's great to see you.